Morning Asia, good evening America. You're watching World DNA, the show that gets you ahead of the rest. I'm Jyotsna Kumar.
And I'm Adhya Juneja, and today on World DNA, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has rejected a US-backed Gaza plan endorsed by Hamas, putting him at odds with President Donald Trump. Netanyahu says Israel will not withdraw its forces until Hamas is fully disarmed, raising questions over the future of the ceasefire and Gaza peace process.
We'll get you more on that, and also on the show. Russia and Ukraine are escalating their long-range attacks with deadly strikes reported on both sides. Russian attacks have killed civilians in Ukraine, while a Ukrainian drone strike killed 3 in Russia's Belgorod region. The latest violence comes as prospects for a peace deal remain stalled. We'll get you all the details on that. Let's begin with the headlines.
The Gaza envoy of Board of Peace says that the US-backed plan rejected by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu remains the only way forward to prevent a repeat of Hamas's October 7, 2023 attack.
Yemen's Houthi rebels released footage said to show missiles and drones being launched towards Saudi targets in Mocha. Houthis struck a government-held port on the country's Red Sea coast, killing several people.
Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi says Tehran will not start direct talks with US as long as Washington breaches an interim deal signed in the month of June, adding that messages are being exchanged via mediators.
President Donald Trump says U.S. is low-keying its approach to Iran and only semi-negotiating with them to give economic pressure time to work.
Russian strikes killed 2 people and wounded dozens across Ukraine, while a Ukrainian drone attack killed 3 people in Russia's Belgorod region.
The death toll due to the ongoing flood situation in Assam has reached 100 as large parts of the state continue to reel under the impact of the deluge.
Jharkhand police imposes prohibitory orders around the assembly premises in Ranchi ahead of Vidhan Sabha march called by students protesting against exam irregularities.
Canada's federal government to provide shelter for thousands of residents displaced due to the wildfire in British Columbia. The Bull-Range wildfire had spread to more than 10,000 hectares.
Asian Markets opened higher, tracking Wall Street's record close after softer U.S. jobs data, which eased concerns over near-term rate hikes. Japan's Nikkei gained 0.6%, South Korea's rose 0.5%, while MSCI's Asia Pacific Index outside Japan added 0.3%.
5-time NBA champion and legendary coach Don Nelson dies at the age of 86. Nelson won his 5 titles with the Boston Celtics between 1966 and 1976. He also holds the second highest number of regular season wins by an NBA head coach. The Nelson family did not divulge in the cause for his death. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has publicly rejected key elements of a U.S.-backed 15-point roadmap for Gaza,
insisting Israel will not withdraw its forces until Hamas is fully disarmed. But reports suggest Netanyahu has privately agreed to give the plan a chance.
Now, according to Israel's Channel 12 and Axios, Netanyahu spoke last week with Trump's envoy and son-in-law, Jared Kushner. Netanyahu reportedly said he does not believe Hamas would agree to full disarmament, but he was still prepared to give the 15-point plan a chance.
On Sunday, however, Netanyahu publicly rejected key parts of the proposal. While speaking at the weekly cabinet meeting, he said the Israel Defense Forces would not withdraw from their current positions in Gaza until Hamas is completely disarmed.
Israel rejects the 15-point plan. I heard people say, you didn't say, we said, but here, I'm saying it again. Israel rejects the 15-point plan. The IDF will not carry out any withdrawal until Hamas is disarmed. And when I say disarming Hamas, it means the heavy weapons, the less heavy weapons, and the light weapons, all the weapons, and we are talking about real disarmament, not a fictitious disarmament.
The rejection comes as Hamas has agreed to elements of the Board of Peace roadmap, including a transfer of civilian administration to a Palestinian technocratic body. But Israeli officials say Hamas is trying to use the process to prevent a renewed Israeli military operation.
Now, the White House, meanwhile, appears less concerned about Netanyahu's public position. U.S. officials are reportedly treating his statement as political posturing, while negotiations still continue. They also point to a halt in Israeli strikes on Gaza in recent days.
Nikolai Mladenov, the Board of Peace's Gaza envoy, has defended the roadmap. He says full implementation is the best guarantee against a repeat of the October 7 attacks. Mladenov also played down Netanyahu's rejection, saying Israel is not expected to withdraw from its current positions until there are tangible steps towards Hamas disarmament.
Under the 15-point roadmap, Hamas would give up control of Gaza's civil administration to the National Committee for the Administration of Gaza, a Palestinian technocratic body operating under the Board of Peace. Well, the plan also envisions Hamas disarmament, a phased Israeli withdrawal, an international stabilization force, and the beginning of Gaza's reconstruction. The U.S. President Donald Trump is signaling a more cautious approach towards Iran, even as Tehran sets tough conditions for reopening the Strait of Hormuz.
Now, Iran says it is not in direct talks with Washington, with messages being exchanged through intermediaries. Talking to Axios, Trump said the United States is low-keying its approach to Iran and is only semi-negotiating. The comments suggest Washington is focusing on economic pressure and indirect diplomacy rather than an immediate return to major combat operations.
Now, according to the Wall Street Journal, Trump has indicated he could be willing to end the war without a formal nuclear deal if Iran agrees to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Well, that would allow Trump to declare an end to the conflict and claim victory without securing a comprehensive nuclear accord with Tehran. Hormuz, therefore, appears to be at the center of Washington's immediate strategy.
But Iran has set a high price for reopening the waterway. Iran's top security official has laid out 6 conditions, and they include an end to U.S. military action and threats against Iran, the withdrawal of U.S. forces from around the country, the lifting of the naval blockade and sanctions, compensation for war damage, and the release of frozen Iranian assets.
Now, demands were announced by Mohammad Bagher Zolgadar, then the Secretary of Iran's Supreme National Security Council. Tehran has since reshuffled its top security leadership.
Now, former IRGC commander Mohsen Jazai has replaced Zolgadar. Zolgadar has been named Supreme Leader Moshtaba Khamenei's political advisor.
Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi says an agreement with Oman on new shipping routes through the strait is in its final stages, but he reiterated that Tehran will not fully reopen the strait until its wider demands are met. Well, shipping tracking data showed that at least 17 vessels transited the strait on 8th of August, with as many as 6 reportedly operating as dark vessels.
The Houthi rebels have released footage said to show missiles and drones being launched towards Saudi targets in the port city of Mocha in western Yemen.
The National Resistance Forces, which is a Yemeni government allied force, said at least 7 were killed, 15 others injured in the attack. Mocha is one of the main ports under Yemeni government and has been renovated to handle shipping that avoids the Houthi-held port of Hodeidah. Well, the attack, according to the Yemeni Information Ministry, severely damaged port buildings and piers as well as commercial goods and food supplies.
This comes a day after the Iran-Baghd group struck a government-held port on the country's Red Sea coast, killing several people and deepening fears over threats to strategic West Asia shipping routes and a potential return to civil war. They also attacked an oil facility in neighboring Saudi Arabia.
The Houthi military spokesperson Yahya Sari said that the group succeeded in targeting the Aramco refinery in Jazan with a drone and the strike was precise. Well, he added that the attack had been launched in response to Saudi incursions into territory in northwest Yemen.
Now, Saudi Arabia's Ministry of Energy said the firefighters extinguished a fire that broke out at dawn in a facility belonging to the Saudi Aramco refinery in Jazan. It did not say what caused the fire, adding that there were no injuries.
Now, the Houthi attacks have also put a question mark on the viability of the Mecca Joint Defense Agreement signed between Saudi Arabia, Turkey and Pakistan. Each new attack on Saudi Arabia appears to be a litmus test for the pact, which dubs attack on one as attack on all. The Russia-Ukraine war continues with both countries ramping up long-range strikes.
Ukrainian attack killed 6 people in Russia's Belgorod region, while Russian strikes killed 2 people and wounded dozens across Ukraine on the intervening night of Saturday and Sunday.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said at least 8 people had been wounded in Odessa, where strikes damaged the power grid, the port and residential buildings.
Zelensky claimed that Russia is relying on what he described as ballistic terror, stating that 61 missiles of various types has been fired at Ukraine last week.
A World Health Organization warehouse stocking medical supplies in the Ukrainian city of Dnipro had been destroyed in Russian strikes on Friday. Well, in a post on X, WHO chief Tedros stressed attacks on healthcare must stop.
Now, Zelensky noted that more air defense are needed for Ukraine and more pressure, more sanctions are needed against Russia.
The Ukrainian president also claimed that up to 50,000 North Korean soldiers will be deployed in Russia and called on South Korea to provide support for its air defense.
The situation remains grim on the front line for Ukraine. On Sunday, the Russian army said they had captured 2 small villages in Ukraine's eastern Donetsk region.
The Pope Leo XIV has drawn attention to the many innocent lives lost in the war, adding that the tragedy episodes are not just continuing but multiplying.
Now, reports suggest the United States may be preparing to scrap a 60-day grace period currently available to H-1B visa holders after job loss.
Well, the proposed move could significantly impact thousands of Indian professionals working in the United States.
Now, at present, H-1B workers who lose their jobs are allowed to stay in the U.S. for up to 60 days or until their visa expires, whichever comes earlier. Now, this window gives them time to find a new employer, change their visa status, or make arrangements to leave the country without immediately falling out of legal status.
However, a proposed policy shift could eliminate this cushion altogether. If implemented, H-1B visa holders would be required to leave the U.S. almost immediately after losing employment unless they secure another job or transition to a different visa category right away. Now, this would mark a sharp departure from the current system that offers a limited but crucial safety net.
The change is expected to disproportionately affect Indian nationals who make up the largest share of H-1B visa recipients. Many Indian professionals work in the U.S. tech sector, where layoffs have become more frequent amid global economic uncertainty. Without the grace period, even short gaps between jobs could force skilled workers to abruptly exit the country.
Now, the implications extend beyond individuals. Employers could face challenges as the removal of the grace period reduces flexibility in hiring and onboarding foreign talent. Workers may become more hesitant to switch jobs, fearing immediate deportation if a new role does not materialize quickly. Well, there are also concerns about the broader economic and innovation impact. The H-1B program has long been a key pathway for skilled foreign workers, especially in technology and engineering fields. Tightening the rules could make the U.S. less attractive compared to other countries competing for global talent.
Now, for now, the proposal has not been finalized. However, the potential rollback of the 60-day grace period has already sparked anxiety among visa holders and immigration experts alike.
Alleged cartel boss Daniel Kinahan has been extradited from Dubai and charged with directing a criminal organization.
Kinahan, one of the alleged leaders of the Kinahan organized crime group, was flown back to Ireland on a government jet and taken to Dublin's Special Criminal Court.
Now, Irish police say the 49-year-old was arrested and charged with serious organized crime offences following his extradition from the United Arab Emirates. Kinahan appeared in court shortly after arriving in Ireland. He is accused of directing the activities of a criminal organisation between October 2015 and April 2017.
He was remanded in custody until October 5th and is expected to be held at the high-security Portlaoise prison. The Special Criminal Court, where Kinahan appeared, handles terrorism and organized crime cases and operates without a jury, with proceedings heard by 3 judges.
Kinahan had been living in Dubai for around a decade before his arrest there. He had previously moved to the United Arab Emirates from Spain after the murder of an associate and an attempt on his life at a boxing weigh-in in Dublin. Irish authorities say the extradition is the result of years of international cooperation.
Ireland's Justice Minister Jim O'Callaghan called it a landmark in judicial cooperation with Dubai, saying it sends a clear message that suspected serious criminals will find no safe haven from justice. Irish Police Chief Justin Kelly also praised cooperation with international partners, including Dubai Police, saying the arrest demonstrates their determination to target transnational organized crime groups.
Kinahan is the second alleged member of the organization to be extradited from Dubai. Another senior figure, Sean McGovern, was extradited in 2024 and was sentenced to 24 years in prison in Ireland after pleading guilty to directing organized crime and attempted murder. Well, Kinahan will remain in custody as the legal proceedings continue, with his next hearing scheduled for 5th of October.
The wildfires rage across parts of the globe, forcing evacuations, closing tourist destinations, and putting communities under pressure.
From Canada's British Columbia to Indonesia and southern Europe, firefighters battle fast-spreading blazes amid hot, dry, and windy conditions.
Now in Canada, British Columbia has declared a state of emergency as the fast-moving Bull Range wildfire near Okanagan Lake grew to about 9,500 hectares. Evacuation orders have been issued across Summerland, Peachland, and other areas, with more than 20,000 people forced to leave their homes across the province. Now, the fire also disrupted power supplies and prompted a boil water notice in Summerland.
We are facing an intense and harrowing situation in the Summerland area. And it is so difficult to be evacuated and not know when you will be able to return, not know what you'll be returning to, whether your home and your community will still be there. And the wait for news about the well-being of your loved ones can be absolutely devastating.
In Indonesia, wildfire has spread across the caldera in East Java, prompting authorities to close the national park to tourists. The fire, which started on 3rd of August, has burned about 176 hectares of land, expanding from around 60 hectares recorded earlier in the week. Well, authorities are using waterbombing helicopters and drones to fight the blaze. No casualties have been reported, and the cause remains under investigation.
Now in Albania, residents were evacuated from parts of Kruja as firefighters fought to stop a major wildfire from reaching the city. More than 200 firefighters and dozens of vehicles were deployed. The steep terrain made access to some areas extremely difficult.
Our apartment building is very close. The fire is very close. We are very worried. It is a major disaster that is happening to the city of Kruja. We are very worried, and I appeal to the government to come and help put out the fire because it is spreading on a large scale.
In southern Spain, a wildfire has burned at least 4,000 hectares of land and forced 340 people to evacuate. Well, more than 300 firefighters, backed by a Spanish military unit, has been deployed as shifting winds complicate efforts to contain the blaze.
Meanwhile, in Italy, a wildfire erupted above Lake Garda. The blaze prompted evacuations from a holiday residence and several homes along the fire line as crews worked through the night to contain the flames.
From North America to Europe and Asia, wildfires force communities to evacuate and firefighters to mount large-scale responses. With heat, dryness and wind continuing to raise fire risk, authorities face a growing challenge of containing blazes.
Time for a very short break in World DNA. We'll be back with more news and updates. Don't go anywhere.
once a year, grown men in this city put on three-piece suits, or well, at least a blazer, in 40-degree heat and call it a good idea. This is the distinguished gentleman's ride. It happens on the same day in over 100-odd countries. And it started, of all places, with a photograph. A bloke in Sydney saw visuals of a television character, remember Mad Men, and thought, why don't men dress like that anymore? Men don't gather like that anymore. So he put it online, a few mates, nice clothes, old motorcycles. That was 2012. Today it is one of the largest motorcycle events on earth. And we'll get to this, it isn't really about the motorcycles at all.
Motorcycling is about escaping things. It's about getting out there and getting away from the realities of your life and getting some time to yourself. But this is not about escapism. It's more about, in fact, confronting the things that we don't usually talk about. Men's health and mental illness. So, well, we take it on the chin and riding on, but we're still talking about it. And I think that's a step in the right direction. So, there you go, folks. Gentlemen for a day, if not longer.
French football turns the page. Zinedine Zidane is the new head coach of Les Bleus. The French Football Federation has officially named Zidane as successor to Didier Deschamps, who steps down after 14 years in charge. For France, this is more than an appointment. It's the return of a national icon. Zidane was the heartbeat of France's 1998 World Cup triumph, scoring twice in the final against Brazil. He went on to win the Ballon d'Or the same year and led Les Bleus to Euro glory in 2000. As a manager, Zidane delivered an unprecedented 3 straight Champions League titles with Real Madrid. Now, the man who gave France its greatest footballing memory takes charge of its future. A national hero is back home, this time in the dark.
Well, thanks for staying with us. You're watching WION World is One, and this is World DNA. I'm Adya Juneja, and this is Jyotsna Kumar. Let's start with the headlines.
Iran says it is close to a final agreement with Oman on new shipping routes through the Strait of Hormuz, but repeated the U.S. must meet its 6 demands, including compensation and an end to sanctions for the strategic waterway to reopen.
Iran names former Commander-in-Chief of Revolutionary Guards Mohsen Rezai as head of the country's highest national security body. His predecessor, Mohammad Bagher Zolgadar, made political advisor to Supreme Leader.
Yemen's Houthis claim to have attacked Saudi Aramco's Jazan refinery. The Saudi Energy Ministry says a fire had broken out at the refinery, but was later extinguished with no injuries.
Russian strikes killed 2 people and wounded dozens across Ukraine, while a Ukrainian drone attack killed 3 people in Russia's Belgorod region.
Prosecutors in Dublin charged alleged Irish crime gang boss Daniel Kinahan following his extradition from the United Arab Emirates. Kinahan, who was arrested in Dubai in April, has been named as one of the leaders of Kinahan organized crime group.
Taiwan's military simulates repelling a Chinese air landing assault on Penghu Islands on Monday, while the 10-day drills rehearses various scenarios for a potential Chinese attack.
Jharkhand police imposes prohibitory orders around the assembly premises in Ranchi ahead of Vidhan Sabha march, called by students protesting against exam irregularities.
The death toll due to the ongoing flood situation in Assam has reached 100 as large parts of the state continues to reel under the impact of the deluge.
After the 6th round of talks between the Jharkhand government and the protesting students, the situation has made significant progress.
But seemingly the deadlock is not over yet. Well, amid the ongoing talks, Ranchi braces for the protest march to the assembly.
The Hemant Soren government announced several steps to address the concerns of the protesting students. The government has proposed cancelling 3 exams. Now, these include the 14th JPSC preliminary examination and the JPSC backlog examinations held in 2023 and 2025 to be held. Now, after the talks, Jharkhand Minister Sudhir Kumar said the dialogue was positive. He said a fast-track court will also be set up to deal with cases linked to exam irregularities. The minister said charge sheets will be filed within 90 days.
The student leaders said the government has accepted almost all of their demands related to reforms. However, there are still a couple of issues where there is no agreement. Well, one of them is a CBI investigation into the alleged irregularities. However, the government has agreed to set up a panel headed by a retired High Court judge.
JSSC CGL को रद्द करवाना है, उसमें CBI जांच करवाना है, तो कल का जो विधानसभा मार्च, विधानसभा घेरावा है, आप झारखंड के किसी भी कोने में हो, इस आंदोलन को कल के मार्च को सफल बनाने के लिए रांची जरूर आइए, रांची पुराना विधानसभा जरूर आइए, 9 से 10 बजे तक आप लोग वहां पहुंचिए और बिल्कुल शांति और संवैधानिक तरीके से हम लोग अपना आवाज उठाएंगे।
Jharkhand police on Sunday said it was prepared for the planned assembly march by students in Ranchi today. The police has assured that the protesters would not face action if the demonstration remained peaceful. Ranchi police has said that adequate security arrangement has been made as a large number of students are expected to join the march.
रांची पुलिस अपनी तरफ से तैयार है। हालांकि छात्रों की संख्या काफ़ी रहेगी और जो प्रदर्शनकारी हैं, जो प्रोटेस्टर्स हैं, सारे स्टूडेंट्स हैं। रांची पुलिस के जितने भी जवान हैं, सभी को अभी तक निर्देश दिया गया है कि चूंकि अगर प्रोटेस्टर्स शांतिपूर्वक तरीके से करते हैं तो किसी भी तरीके का प्रोटेस्टर्स को इनकन्वीनियंस नहीं होना चाहिए।
Ahead of appearing for summons by the CID, 3 members of the JPSC PT exam have resigned from their posts. Well, the members who gave the resignation to the governor are Ajita Bhattacharya, Anima Hansta and Jamal Ahmed. In India, a Cessna C-172 training aircraft operated by the Academy of Carver Aviation was involved in a runway excursion at Baramati Airfield in Maharashtra.
Now, the training airplane was carrying flight instructor Captain Chirag Shashikant and trainee Abhijit. Well, all of the crew is reported to be safe. Now, the aircraft was conducting emergency training exercise involving rejected takeoff practices. After conducting a rejected takeoff practice on runway 29 and subsequently lining up on runway 11 for another practice, the aircraft was unable to stop on the paved surface. The aircraft crashed and veered off the extended paved surface beyond the threshold of runway 29 to the right side. The aircraft sustained initial damage to its propeller, engine cowling, and nose landing gear.
A comprehensive damage assessment is currently underway to determine the exact cause of the crash. A Directorate General of Civil Aviation Air Safety team has been dispatched to the site to conduct an investigation and also determine the contributing factors.
Now, this is the same airport where in January this year, the ill-fated airplane of the then Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar had crashed. Now, this crash has hence raised fresh concerns about the safety of the airstrip. Taiwan's military, in its ongoing annual Han Kuang military drill, executed a nuclear, biological, and chemical decontamination exercise in Hualien, a county on the east coast of the country.
Well, this specific exercise has grabbed attention as it stimulated a chemical weapons attack on personnel and armored vehicles. Well, the armored vehicle unit during the drill practiced quickly moving contaminated vehicles out of danger. Troops set up a temporary station designed to identify contaminated areas, detect toxic substances and remove hazardous materials. Soldiers in full protective gear underwent comprehensive full-body decontamination, while tanks and armored vehicles were rigorously cleaned and disinfected according to designed and designated procedures.
What you see now is our decontamination station. Its main purpose is to assist in the removal of NBC contamination from our important combat equipment, such as armored vehicles and tanks, allowing our vehicles to recover quickly and ensuring the safety of our personnel.
The decontamination drills is just one component of the Han Kuang exercises. These are Taiwan's largest annual military drills, which is designed to test and strengthen the armed forces' combat readiness against a variety of threats. The drills kicked off on Wednesday and are set to extend through August 14th in various locations around the island.
Now, these drills have gathered special attention given the fact that China's reunification deadline of 2027 is nearing. Well, many view this as Taiwan's preparation for a full-scale invasion by China. As nature becomes increasingly unpredictable, well, scientists are now looking to nature itself for answers.
Now, deep beneath the ocean surface, sharks are being recruited for a mission far beyond hunting. The idea is to use these deep-sea dwellers as natural sensors, monitoring their movements and behavior to detect changes in the ocean conditions. Scientists hope these signals could one day help predict hurricanes and offer new clues about their path and ferocity.
But how will they exactly devise the method? Well, researchers at the University of Delaware are fitting sharks with what they call a tiny CTD tag, a small device that reads the ocean around it. Well, it tracks temperature, salinity and depth as the animal dives and travels. When the shark returns to the surface, the tag sends its data up to satellites, turning every journey into a set of ocean readings. But so far, through this method, the waters of North Atlantic Ocean will be tested first.
Scientists hope sharks could take these sensors into depths of ocean that are otherwise unreachable and costly to monitor. Scientists hope these measurements will complement existing data and reveal more about the ocean conditions that drive hurricane development.
Now, the tagging work begins in early May, when highly migratory shark species move closer to the coast for their winter habitats, which is farther out in the Atlantic. Aaron Karlisis, a marine scientist at the University of Delaware, is leading the research.
But which shark species are worthy contenders for the experiment? Well, scientists have identified 4 promising candidates: the fast-moving short-fin mako, blue sharks, smooth hammerheads, and even juvenile great whites. The research is conducted under animal care. The tags are designed to eventually corrode and fall off, and each shark undergoes a health check before release. Typhoon Dolphin made 2 landfalls in Zhenjiang on Sunday, first in Yihuan and in Yuqing.
But China has issued a red typhoon warning with more than 1 million people evacuated. Now, authorities have raised emergency responses in several provinces, including the highest, level 1 in Zhejiang. Well, level 4 responses have also been activated for flood and typhoon control in Shanghai and Jiangxi, for the geological disasters in Anhui. In Zhejiang, 388 flights were cancelled at Hangzhou Shaoshan International Airport, where the province has also released flood water from its river networks and reservoirs as water levels rise. In Fujian, winds above force 10 have hit central and northern areas. Authorities have provided food, water and other emergency supplies to around 30,000 residents across 37 inhabited islands in Ningde.
In Shanghai, strong winds and heavy rain caused waterlogging in some low-lying areas. Rescue teams evacuated residents and worked to drain floodwater. Rail services have been suspended on parts of Hangzhou, Shenzhen, and Shanghai Kunming high-speed railways. Airports across Yangtze River Delta have cancelled more than 1,700 flights.
The forecasters say Dolphin is expected to move westward and slow over central and southwestern China before weakening. Well, the slowing system could bring prolonged heavy rain, increasing the risk of floods and landslides, particularly in mountainous areas and along smaller rivers. Well, pet care is no longer just a discretionary expense. As pet ownership rises and animals are increasingly treated as part of the family, while owners are also spending more on their health and well-being.
Now, Singapore is a useful window into this shift, where the cost of looking after a dog or a cat can run from a few $100s to tens of thousands. There's a look at why pet care is emerging as a fast-growing consumer spending category. Pet care is fast becoming one of the most resilient and rapidly expanding consumer spending categories globally, with Singapore offering a sharp snapshot of this trend. What was once discretionary is increasingly non-negotiable as pet ownership rises and animals are treated more like family than companions. In Singapore, the number of licensed dogs have climbed from 59,000 in 2011 to 91,000 by early 2025. While cat ownership surged after regulatory changes, with 41,000 cats licensed within a year. This growing base is driving consistent demand for veterinary services, particularly as expectations around care evolve. The result is a structural rise in spending. Emergency consultation fees alone range from $128 to $250, excluding treatment. Diagnostics add significantly. X-rays cost $100 to $250. Ultrasounds cost $300 to $500, while hospital stays can run from $200 to $500 per night, and intensive care goes up to $1,000 a night. For serious conditions, bills can escalate quickly into thousands, with complex surgeries costing between $10,000 and $20,000 or more. This escalation is not unique to Singapore but reflects a broader global shift. Advances in veterinary medicines are expanding treatment options while simultaneously pushing up costs. Clinics are also grappling with higher rents, staffing shortages, and expensive imported equipment, including MRI and CT scanners costing millions. Demand is keeping pace. Some veterinary facilities report admissions rising by about 15% annually, underscoring both increased pet ownership and a willingness among consumers to spend more on care. Insurance uptake is also growing, with certain providers seeing policy demand rise over 20% year on year. Ultimately, the sector reflects a deeper consumer shift. As emotional attachment to pets intensifies, price sensitivity weakens. For businesses, this signals a durable growth market, one where spending is driven less by necessity alone and more by the evolving definition of family. This is Bureau Report. WION World is One. Drones have changed the nature of aerial warfare. It is no surprise they are now making their way to the water.
Well, Taiwan has recently demonstrated multiple AI-powered drone boats operating as a team, showing how future missions may not be carried out by a single massive warship, but by a swarm of small, expendable, unmanned vessels working together. We'll take a look at this next report.
Naval operations are changing. The next mission may not be carried out by a single warship, but by multiple unmanned vessels working together. In Taiwan, 2 AI-powered drone boats have demonstrated how autonomous swarms could change maritime defense. Working as a team, they tracked, coordinated, and forced a target vessel away without a human crew on board. The demonstration featured 2 unmanned surface vessels, the Sea Shark 600 and the larger Sea Shark 800. Both were built by Taiwanese drone manufacturer Thunder Tiger and powered by Shield AI's HiveMind autonomous software. The boats could share information, coordinate their movements, and execute a mission together. The goal was to show how multiple autonomous platforms can operate as a single team, even in complex maritime environments. This approach is known as swarm autonomy. Instead of relying on one large platform, militaries are increasingly developing networks of smaller, unmanned systems that can coordinate with each other in real time. AI enables each platform to understand its role, adapt to changing conditions, and continue the mission even if other vehicles drop out. Developers say that makes operations more flexible, while reducing the number of personnel needed in high-risk areas. Countries around the world are investing heavily in autonomous defense technologies as they prepare for future conflicts across land, sea, and air. For an island like Taiwan, with thousands of kilometers of coastline to monitor, AI-powered unmanned vessels could provide an important new layer of maritime security. The developers say the next step is not just controlling 2 boats, but entire mixed fleets of autonomous systems operating together. The demonstration lasted only a few minutes, but it offered a glimpse of a much bigger shift in defense technology. The focus is moving away from individual machines towards intelligent networks that can sense, decide, and coordinate in real time.
Another July release from Hollywood has joined the $1 billion club.
Now, Christopher Nolan's 2026 release, The Odyssey, has officially crossed the $1 billion mark at the worldwide box office, cementing its status as the cinematic event of the summer. Released on 17 July 2026, the IMAX spectacle stars Matt Damon as the Greek hero Odysseus, Anne Hathaway as Penelope, Tom Holland as Telemachus, and Zendaya as Athena, the Greek goddess of wisdom. In its fourth weekend in theaters, The Odyssey has dominated ticket sales globally. The film has recently pushed past the $1.1 billion threshold. The movie was fueled by massive demand for the premium 70mm IMAX format, and experienced Nolan heavily championed and filmed in entirely. The epic's theatrical run is only expected to grow, with highly anticipated releases in massive markets like China and Japan slated for later this month. With The Odyssey, Nolan enters the elite $1 billion box office club for the third time in his career. The Odyssey has now officially surpassed his 2012 film, The Dark Knight Rises, to become the highest-grossing movie of his career.
His previous $1 billion hits were both part of his groundbreaking Batman trilogy, The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Returns. The Batman trilogy revolutionized the superhero genre in Hollywood and pretty much brought prestige back to DC Comics.
Nolan's 2023 release, Oppenheimer, failed to cross the $1 billion milestone. However, the movie made Christopher Nolan, Emma Thomas, Cillian Murphy, and Robert Downey Jr. win their first Oscar honor in 2024.
The Joker, it's a pretty magical piece.
Cliff divers from around the world have gathered in Bosnia, putting their courage and grit to the test.
Well, the annual competition in Bosnia's Pliva waterfall challenged participants to take the 72-feet plunge from the Pliva waterfall. We'll take a look.
While much of Europe is battling heat waves and wildfires, it is pleasantly cool here in Jajce, next to the waterfall where the Pliva and Vrbas rivers meet. For this very reason, many tourists come to Jajce to escape the heat, cool off, and visit the town's numerous cultural and historical landmarks, with plenty to see and explore.
Well, that's all we have in this edition, but before we slip into a very short break, we take a look at some of the climate stories across the globe. Till then, keep watching Beyond World is One.
Once a year, grown men in this city put on three-piece suits, or well, at least a blazer, in 40-degree heat and call it a good idea. This is the distinguished gentleman's ride. It happens on the same day in over 100-odd countries. And it started, of all places, with a photograph. A bloke in Sydney saw visuals of a television character, remember Mad Men, and thought, why don't men dress like that anymore? Men don't gather like that anymore. So he put it online, a few mates, nice clothes, old motorcycles. That was 2012. Today it is one of the largest motorcycle events on earth. And we'll get to this, it isn't really about the motorcycles at all.
Motorcycling is about escaping things. It's about getting out there and getting away from the realities of your life and getting some time to yourself. But this is not about escapism. It's more about, in fact, confronting the things that we don't usually talk about. Men's health and mental illness. So, well, we're taking it on the chin and riding on, but we're still talking about it. And I think that's a step in the right direction. So, there you go, folks. Gentlemen for a day, if not longer.
Welcome back. Thanks for staying tuned to WION. I'm Samiksha Srivastava. Let's begin with speed news.